Everyone's talking, and we're listening. Listener mail on EdPop.
Okay, elementary assistant principal Rich Brown from Louisville wrote to EdPop. Rich writes, quote, "I've been seeing a lot about nature-based education on social media. Would you recommend this style of education for elementary schools? Is this something that takes place every day? And how do schools introduce such an initiative? Are there any experts to help consult?" Great inquiry, Rich. You might be interested in hearing from my friend Audrey Elszasz with the nonprofit Nature Pedagogy. I traveled to Audrey's beautiful house in the middle of the woods so that she can explain a little bit about her journey, what nature-based education is all about, and how to get in contact with her. Here's Audrey in her own words.
So this goes back to 2012. It was the wintertime, and I was here in my home. It was probably snowing and blowing because we live in Geauga County. It's the lots of lake effect snow, and I was spending some time with YouTube, and I searched for outdoor education. And lo and behold, I came across a website that was the Norwegian Forest School. And I was looking at kids in the Arctic Circle outdoors all year round. And at this point, I had already read Richard Louv's awesome book, Last Child in the Woods, but I wasn't really aware of who was doing this type of education. So it really blew my mind, and it just sent me on a path that this was going to be my direction in education. And I was fortunate enough to work at a school where the headmistress said, go for it. And we found a donor. We purchased 90 sets of one-piece waterproof suits, 90 sets of boots. We put up a big yurt with all the trappings for adventure exploration materials. And 3 years later, we launched the first ever in Northeast Ohio outdoor education program for 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. And from there, the program was a smashing success. We couldn't meet the demand. Every year there was more and more new people from outside the school that wanted to come be part of it, current families that wanted more of it. So after 3 years, I decided to step away, and I determined that my best use and my purpose could be better used if I were to help other schools to get on board with this and to get parks in on the game. I'm working to partner schools and parks. If a school doesn't have a property of their own, I'm working with children who have learning differences, social emotional learning challenges. I'm working with children who don't have opportunities to get outdoors because of an economic gap, so inner city schools. And that's my mission and my passion. We compared a traditional classroom with the outdoor classroom and got a lot of data on whether or not the children would be equally prepared for kindergarten. And the research is in the editing stage right now, but the results are in that outdoor programming prepared the children equally for kindergarten, which was a big concern for our constituents. Our population were very focused on academic readiness and preparedness for the next level. So it was very gratifying. Of course, I already knew that because I have seen every day the benefits that this outdoor education provides. And it's not only academic readiness, it's even more so those skills that you can't test for, like creativity and problem solving and teamwork and resilience. So when the children are a little uncomfortable, if it's cold or it's rainy, we're teaching them to have skills on how to persevere through their day and figure out what does their body need to get warm or dry, or so they're making those decisions on their own without being told. We eat at a certain time, we dress a certain way. They're able to make those decisions based on their experience, because not all children experience temperature in the same way. Different energy levels and different metabolisms, so we let them decide how many layers they need on, and is today a good day to get wet, or should we stay out of the water? So my question would be, how do we overcome those obstacles? How do we get administrators, principals, to think differently about risk? Because risk is a big obstacle or a barrier for allowing children to go out and explore in nature. Everything from the fear of weather, fear of ticks, fear of falling, injuries. These were all conversations that we had to have to see what is our risk tolerance. And I think it came down to convincing the headmistress that as the educator, I was taking on the responsibility of determining where the hazards are. We can take appropriate risks with kids, but we had to remove the hazards. So, and knowing the difference between a hazard and a risk is really important. Parents selected this program for their child, so being a self-selected group of people, they knew what they were getting into. We were very transparent with what types of risks their kids would be exposed to and how that would benefit them. The reason our program was so successful right off the bat is because we took baby steps to achieve being a full-blown outdoor program. We did this by having afternoon programming that was outdoors, and then we incorporated where each classroom within the division was taking children out into the forest on a monthly basis with a 1-week immersion at the end of the year, so that it became part of the culture of the school, or the division, I should say, that we were embracing outdoor education for all classrooms, but just to varying degrees. So everybody was getting a good preschool education that included some outdoor pedagogy. And then when we saw how successful that was and how the parents loved it and the feedback we were getting was phenomenal, then we knew we were on the right path. Every class or every program that I've ever been involved in, I've done surveys to see how we can improve, how we can do better, what was the parents' experience. And every single survey that I've ever done has been 100% positive, 100% we need more of this, 100% of all the listing the benefits that they've seen to their children that blew their mind. They had no idea exactly how big of an impact this program would have on their child. So when I first embarked on this new venture, I wasn't really clear how it would roll out. And I think I've determined that I'm going to focus on reaching out to educators as opposed to parents, because there's plenty of literature and things like Tinkergarten for parents who want to get out in nature, how to do it, and good resources. But I think that the piece that is not really in place for teachers who want to get dabbling in this, maybe by taking their kids out once a week or once every month. And so I'm going to have a blog on my website that has daily activities and suggestions based on the weather conditions and the season. I believe that the pedagogy really should come a lot from the children, find out what their interests are so that you could really spark that love of learning. But in the beginning, in the early days, sometimes kids just don't even know what to do when they first go outdoors, right? So you have to model for them. You have to try a lot of different things to see what's going to be embraced. So I am looking to create a tool for teachers as a go-to place. If they want to try it out, or if they want to even do it to a great extent, they could rely on this resource to help them. I'm working with a variety of schools teaching because I love the teaching part, but that is just for fun. That's really not the main thrust of my work. My other initiative is to open new outdoor schools. So right now I have 2 that I'm working on to launch in the fall. One is in South Carolina and the other is up here in Northeast Ohio. Anybody can reach me at audrey.elszasz@naturepedagogy.org. I'll spell that out for you. It's a long one. AUDREY.EL, S like Sam, Z like zebra, A, S like Sam, Z like zebra, at Nature Pedagogy, PEDAGOGY.org. I really think you have to have a teacher who is eager and on board with this, because in every program I've seen, that is the person that's going to make it go. And you can't really fake it out in nature all year round if you don't love being outside.
All right, thanks to Richard Brown for writing in, and thanks to Audrey Elszasz for offering her expertise and services to any and all that need it. Visit educationpop.org for links to nature pedagogy. And don't forget to contact us with any questions you have, so maybe you can be featured on the next
Listener mail.